Hi everybody, welcome to the Deanne Scanlon Show. I'm DJ Foster, joined by Grand Valley State head volleyball coach Deanne Scanlon. Coach, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
First show of the year. We got some good results to talk about. You had a good trip to Oregon and back. You went 3-1 over the weekend. You started off on Friday with a 3-1 victory over Cal State Los Angeles in your first game, and then suffered a tough 3-0 loss to a good Western Washington team. 1-1 in the opening day against two good opponents. Kind of talk about the first two games.
Yeah, we got started there on Friday morning, playing Cal State LA, who, very good team. They play a different kind of, West Coast volleyball, I guess if you want to call it. And they had actually opened up the day before. They had two matches on Thursday. They came in earlier. So, they'd had a little bit of time to kind of work out the kinks a little bit. But, I didn't think it fazed our kids. The first game, we kind of battled back and forth, and then we kind of settled in, and I won't say I was surprised to come away with the win, but I thought that, out of, opening up and playing some young kids and being in that environment and traveling, it was probably the match that was probably, you weren't really sure what was going to happen in that match. It could have gone one way or the other. But I think if there's one thing that I'm learning about this team is there's not a whole lot that affects them, as far as if you throw obstacles in their way, and that's kind of been our theme into preseason so far too. You just kind of got to deal with it, and I think that's what we did on day one. We kind of dealt with it, and Western Washington was the team that went undefeated out there. Very good team. They were picked to win their conference. They were just a little too mature for us, for where we are in the stage with our team, and they had some really good senior leaders, a good senior setter, a good senior outside hitter that. Was able to kind of control the pace of that match, and we just couldn't. They didn't make any mistakes, basically, and allowed us to kind of to self-destruct a little bit.
On Saturday, you were able to accomplish something that you had never done in your career. No, it hadn't been done since November of 1987, when a lady named Joan Bond was the head coach here. You won 2 5-set matches in the same day. First, you beat Missouri S&T in a 5-setter, and then you come back to beat Western Oregon. Fifth set was 20-18, and I looked back in the record books, couldn't find a longer fifth set match that you've played. 2 5-set wins in the same day. It's got to be a great way to finish off the trip.
Yeah, it was. It was just a great day altogether, a great trip altogether. The most important match of the weekend, I told the girls, was that Missouri S&T match, because it is a regional match. They're in the GLVC, and they had beaten us last year in the crossover tournament. So. To come away with that, Missouri S&T, I think, was picked second or third in their preseason poll. So a very legitimate win for us, as far as where we might be sitting in the region. And then, the host team, Western Oregon, again, a very seasoned team with a senior setter and 2 senior outside hitters. And our kids, that was kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly during that match. We played really well coming out the first 2 sets, and then Western Oregon got their feet under them a little bit and battled back, and we looked pretty ugly in sets 3 and 4. And then, as you mentioned, the 2018 win in Game 5. We've been on the losing end of that at an Elite 8 championship with West Texas a few years back. We lost a 5th game match, 2018. Maybe it was 22-20 that we lost. But you're right, last year we were losing those matches. Right. And so we hope it's, what we hope is that we'll stabilize to maybe where we're not in 5-game matches as much as we were last year. But it is good to know that our kids can battle through those, and I think we have a huge upside. Like I said, we're not even close to being where we can be with this team, but the things that I saw this weekend of just how they battled and they just played through, and there was a lot that was learned, how to knowing that they need to finish off matches. We were up 2-0 against Western Oregon, and boy, it just flipped in a matter of time, and we were really scrambling, to try to get our feet underneath us. And but through all that chaos, we came out in the 5th set and just battled back and forth in that 5th set.
You were 2-6 last year in 5-set matches. You're 2-0 to start this year. What was the difference? I mean, you've already won as many 5-setters as you did last year. What did you find out this weekend about your team that maybe you realized, hey, we can win these 5-setters where we would have lost them last year?
Yeah, I think there were quite a few things. I think they had the extra year of maturity for those returning players. I think there's something to be said for that. I think also we had the depth on our bench. I was able to go to our bench a lot this weekend, and those kids that came in contributed and added to what we needed, and I think that's someplace that we really lacked last year. I think we just learned as we went on. This team has got a competitive spirit, and I don't think they, whether it's ignorance, I don't know, but I don't think they ever felt like they couldn't win. You know, they just competed, and when it got down to that situation, there was just, I don't know how to describe it other than it was just different. I knew that it wasn't that being in a fifth set match, they weren't afraid of that challenge. You know, it was just kind of a bring it on type of thing, where versus like, oh my gosh, here we go. Right. They were looking at it as a challenge versus an opportunity to fail. You know.
A lot of the names kind of were familiar throughout the weekend, at least on the stat sheet wise, and it broke up a little differently. There was a sophomore in Abby Aiken, a freshman in Betsy Ronda, senior Ina Uma was blocking all over the place. Right. Those were just at least some of the names on the stat sheet. Talk about those players a little bit. Anyone else that you saw that kind of really stepped up that you were impressed with early on? Yeah,
Megan Schroeder, I think, would probably be the person I would say would be our MVP of the weekend. She's a lefty that plays opposite of our setter, and she took some great swings and was really unstoppable most of the weekend, and just brought a real stability to our lineup when she was playing through the front row. I think Claire Ruenkamp, we're running a 6-2, but I think Claire is starting to develop into that leader on the court and getting the ball to the right people. She's still learning, like a quarterback, just trying to expand her knowledge of the game and more beyond just the physical execution of setting the ball, but kind of just learning, situational type stuff. But yeah, Abby Aiken is someone that, physically has really spent this last year getting herself in the best shape possible. I mean, she's probably our most emotional leader on the floor, when she's just fired up at every point that we score, and so she's hard to take off the floor because she brings such an energy. And then now where last year we didn't have that person opposite of her, when she would rotate to the back row. Now we have Betsy Ronda, and those two are just kind of feeding off each other. They've developed a real friendship both on and off the court that I think is going to, you're going to be hearing those names quite a bit through the year. And
both those played very well in that fifth set against Western Oregon. 5 kills apiece for them. Looking forward to this weekend, the Riverfront Hotel Grand Rapids Classic. You're hosting an 8-team, 16-match tournament Friday and Saturday. A lot of volleyball being played in Allendale this weekend. You will play District of Columbia and Barrie on Friday, and then on Saturday, Stonehill and Seton Hill. Talk about this weekend and how excited you are for it.
Yeah, the only team out of that group that we've played in the past has been Barrie, and it's been a very long time since we've played them. So excited to be back home in front of our fans, in front of our parents. I think it should be a great weekend with football being home, so hopefully, the crowds will be good. But I think that it should be probably the competition will be a little different than what we saw this past weekend. These are all teams that are fairly good teams in their region, but it should be somewhere where we can maybe look on building off of last weekend and getting some people some playing time. But like I said, I think I'm just excited to bring this team back home and let people see, the Grand Valley volleyball this year.
Grand Valley State volleyball team started out 3-1 this past weekend. They will open up home play this weekend at the Riverfront Hotel Grand Rapids Classic. 2 matches on Friday, 2 matches on Saturday. Deanne, we'll talk about those next week. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, TJ.
Thanks for watching the Deanne Scanlon Show here on the Grand Valley Sports Network.